In this video, you're going to learn how to build the ultimate $4,000 AI receptionist for trade businesses. This AI receptionist is able to check availability within an appointment calendar, provide more slots if it is unavailable, book appointments, send confirmation SMS and reminders, request review links after an appointment has been made and done. And then from there, it's able to transfer calls to a human management or staff. And by the end of this video, you have all the free resources, templates, workflows completely for free. So you can go ahead and get started as quickly as possible. So if you do want that free template, go down to my free resource hub in the link description below. Everything is there and you will find everything. And if you don't already know me, my name is Ashton. I've been helping business owners implement AI systems to save time, cut costs, and drive growth. Without further ado, let's get into a quick overview of the system, and then I'm going to be showing you exactly how to build it. All right, awesome. Now, before we actually dive into how the system built, it's very important to understand the conversational flow, the tools that are getting used, and also the system function. So this is just a quick Figma diagram so I can explain to you actually how the system works, and this will serve as a good point to reference when we're actually showing you how to build this system. So first of all, this is our little legend system function right here. So this is what the agent can do. It can answer customer questions via a knowledge base. It can book appointments. It can initiate review requests and follow-ups. It can check availability. It can transfer to management. And then it can also send SMS reminders. Now, what this may look like in a trades business, it might be able to answer any questions around the opening hours, the services. It can book service appointments into a calendar. And then from there, where you're going to be using a system called Go High Level to initiate these review requests, send SMSs, and create more logic drip campaign sequences. And then also it's able to check availability within a service calendar right there. So that's what it may look like for a trade business. And I'll show you how it's all worked for a trade business because I've actually built this system myself for a trades business. And then from here, this is our tech stack. So we have Retell AI. This is going to be our main voice AI platform that's going to be handling all the conversation. It's going to have its inbuilt knowledge base, and then it's also going to be handling all the call transfers. Then we're going to be using N8N, which is able to check availability and book appointments. So it's going to be processing all the automation stuff for our check availability and book appointment. And then finally, we have Go High Level, which is going to be serving as the booking platform. So again, we're going to be using their calendar system, and then we're also going to be using their automation logic-based type of automation sequence to send SMS, to send reminders, and then also to send review requests as well. So that's a little bit about our tech stack and the system functions. And then from here, this is going to be our Figma flow kind of overview chart to actually see what is happening in the conversation. So first of all, our AI agent is going to start with an inbound call, which is going to be an initial message, and it's going to look a little something like this, right? Greeting, thank you for calling Precision Home Solutions. This is Jeremy. How may I help you? Now, for this trades case, we're going to be doing a wide range of trade services. So this is going to be an all-in-one home service company that offers a range of solutions. And then from here, based on that client's request and what they say, it's then going to go down one of these four paths, which is essentially this first pass is for checking availability. So it's going to ask for the service type, and then from there, it's going to ask for the preferred date and time. Once it has that, it's then going to check availability within the calendars, which is going to be Go High Level, right? If the slot is not available, it's going to look and it's going to suggest the closest time automatically, right? If the slot is available, it's then going to proceed to the book appointment workflow. From there, it's going to collect the client's details. So it's going to collect last name, first name, phone, email, and service address as well. And then it also should say, actually, no, that's in the other part, right? And then from there, it's going to confirm all these details with the service date, the time, address, and contact info. It's then going to run the book appointment function. And then from there, this is where it's going to initiate the send SMS confirmation, and it's going to start all the SMS drip reminders. So essentially, that just means checking to see how close it is to the appointment time. So again, it's going to be sending out 24-hour reminders. It's going to be also sending out an hour reminder, etc. Right? And then from there, it's also going to be initiating the review follow-up once the appointment has been booked. And I'll show you how we actually do that in high level. And then finally, we have the FAQs and the transfer to management. So again, if the AI detects it is a question, it's going to retrieve the answer from our knowledge base, and then it's going to answer the customer question as well. Finally, we have the transfer to management. So again, we are able to initiate and detect if the user wants to speak to a staff, if it's about an emergency, if it's about a billing information, etc. Right? This is going to be able to transfer to a number. In this case, it could be management, it could be the owner, etc. So it's going to be able to transfer to a staff right there. So that's essentially how the system works. Now let's dive into Retell AI, where I actually show you how to set this up, and then we can go on to Go High Level, and then finally we'll go into N8N as well to show you how to process all the bookings and automations. Okay, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to head over to Retell AI. Again, as I said, this is going to be our voice AI creation platform where we're going to be able to create the voice agent to converse with the customer, transfer the calls, and then also access a knowledge base as well. So what you want to do is you want to come into Retell AI dashboard, you want to create an agent, and you want to be voice AI agent. Now, I'm already used an agent, I've already built all this, so I'm going to be running you through everything and of course giving you the template completely for free. So all of this process will be so much easier if you go ahead and download the template. And by the way, if you do want the template, go to the link in the description, go to my free AI resource hub. I've got everything in there along with 50 plus other AI templates. So after you have done that, after you've created the voice agent, go over to Retell AI right here, and you'll be put into this little dashboard right here. So again, we've got the name of our agent. You can name this whatever you want. I've named it Ultimate Trades Receptionist right here. And then from here, we have our agent ID, LLM ID. We won't really worry about that, but these are some of the also more important settings up here. This is where we have the cost breakdown of our AI agent per cent and per minute. So again, this is billed on per minute. It's going to be around 10 to 12 cents per minute on average, which is quite cheap. Then we've got the latency. That's how long the AI agent takes to respond to the customer after it has asked a question or it's entered the speech. And then from here, we have the tokens, which essentially tracks the usage of our LLM. Okay, and then down here, this is where we have some of the more important settings. So we have our LLM right here. We're going to be using GPT 4.1 mini. It's very efficient and it's very cost effective and it's also very smart as well. So we're just going to be using GPT 4.1 mini. Again, you can customize all your different LLMs right here. And then from here, this is our little LLM setting temperature. Just leave this at the moment. This essentially means if it's higher, it's going to yield, if it's lower, it's going to yield better function core results. And if it's higher, it's going to not yield better function core results. So just leave that here right there. And then from here, this is where we can customize our voice in Retell. Now, a good use case for this in the trades business's perspective, you want to use a voice that is for their, like wherever they're from, right? If they're in America, you can search the accent and you can do American, and then you can do an American voice, right? But I'm just going to be using the default voice, but this is where you can customize the voice for the trades business right there. And then finally, this is going to be the main language of our AI agent. Of course, I've got mine in English because that's going to be the only main language that you are speaking. But of course, you can select over 40 languages from this wide range of selections right here. And then you can also do multilingual. So if you want the agent to speak multiple languages, you can also press multilingual right here. Awesome. So that covers all the settings up the top. And then this is where it's going to be our prompt right here. So this is very important. And this prompt essentially defines the role, it defines the task, and it's essentially going to be defining how it's going to be interacting with the customer in its conversation. So I'm going to be running you through step by step how this prompt is built for a trades business. So at the top right here, we have the role. This is essentially defining the persona of the agent, how it should be speaking, providing a little bit of context about the precisions or about the trades business as well. So that's the whole purpose of the role. So for example, you are Emily, a concierge for precision home solutions, a professional multi-service home service company. Your persona is knowledgeable, approachable, and reassuring. So you see how I'm mentioning the persona and how it should conduct itself throughout the conversation. And then right here, we've got its primary function is to provide a smooth, trustworthy booking experience that reflects the company's reliable service. So again, that's our role up the top. And then from here, we have the task. So your main task is to guide the client through the booking process in 3 steps. Greet the user, check availability for appointment, and then also booking the appointment. So that's its main task right here. And this task is also broken up into these processes right here. So again, its main task is to ask for service types and also book appointments, because that's going to be the main amount of that's what it's going to be about when the customer's calling in most of the time, right? So again, we'll split this up into a few different things, right? So we'll split this up into service scheduling process, which is going to be one component, right? Which if we come back here, that's going to be this part right here. And then we'll also split it up into knowledge base and FAQs. So we can see that this part right here. And then we'll also split it up into transferring right here. So we can see this is the process for transferring. So you can see how in the prompt, we're splitting it up into different sections. And by the way, if you are wondering what these little hashtag formats things are, it's called markdown formatting. So again, when we're putting the text into the AI, we can actually make these as headers, right? And it's going to enhance the accuracy of the AI prompt. So for example, when the AI is seeing it, imagine this is a header and then this is the text. So you can see how it is going to be more accurate when we're providing it in these formats that it can understand better. So this main task is going to be service scheduling process. So again, this is what we call chain of thought prompting, which is essentially providing the AI a step-by-step chain of thought prompting on how to conduct its conversation for each step. So for example, the customer inquires about a booking service appointment. You must follow this simple 3-step process, right? It should say if the customer inquires about a booking service process, you must provide these simple 3-step process, right? Okay, and then we have step 1, which is going to be greeting and service inquiry. So greet the caller warmly, stating your name and the company's name. And I'll show you how to configure that down here. Ask what service would like. Now, because this is a trades company, you need to make sure you ask what particular service they like. So, for example, for a multi-home service company, they will provide HVAC, AC repair, heating services, duct cleaning, installation, maintenance, electrical, plumbing, gutters, handyman. So again, the AI agent is going to be asking what type of service it needs to be and what the customer is inquiring about, right? If the client is unsure or wants multiple services, offer to guide them through the available options through here. So again, this is step one of the conversation, greeting them and identifying the type of service inquiry. And then step two, we have checking availability. So again, once you know the desired service, ask the client for the preferred date and time. Use the go high level appointment function to check availability. Now, what's very important inside this voice agent was we're only going to be using one function up here. So this function is going to be serving as both check availability and booking appointment as well. If it is available, proceed to the next step, which is booking appointment. So we can see this lines up with our little flowchart right here. If it is available, once it has decided a slot is available, proceed to the next step, right? But then from there, if it is unavailable, politely inform them and suggest the next closest slot. If the client asks for general availability, provide them with a list of options using the go high level appointment function, and then always ensure all suggested times are in the future using the current time right here. Now, this is very, very important. If you are in a time zone that is obviously not Australian Brisbane, you want to change it. So, for example, if you were in America, you would do America. You do America, and then you do like /Los Angeles or whatever, right? So that's just an example of what you would do. Of course, I'm going to leave this because the time zone that I have right now is in the correct format. So I'm just going to leave it as that. But of course, you want to change it to whatever time zone you're in with the country and then whatever city you're in, right? And essentially what this is called a dynamic variable. So again, we're letting the AI know the current time in this time zone. So it's going to be useful and it's going to be accurate when it is checking availability, when it is booking appointments, because we're going to be needing to collect the user's time to process all of those automations for the trades company, right? And then from here, we have step 3, which is booking an appointment. So once a suitable time is agreed upon, collect the client's first name, last name, and the service address. Explicitly confirm all booking details with the first name, the last name, the service type, the service address, and the date and time. Confirm all details with the client in a friendly manner, and then from there, book the appointment and provide a final confirmation message, reassuring the client that the professional will arrive at the scheduled time, and then run the go high level appointment with all the details. So again, that's going to be our go high level function right there with everything. I'll just put function so you can understand it better right there. So again, this is our book appointment. So that covers everything for service scheduling process right here. So if we come back, that literally covers everything. And then the only thing left to do is actually configure the calendar, etc. Right? And then from here, we have the knowledge and FAQ. So if we come back here, this is going to be the section we're going to be covering in our little chart right here. So then from here, if the customer asks about any business information such as opening hours, contact information, addresses, you must refer to your knowledge base to answer these questions. So again, this is going to be where we're attaching our knowledge base in right here. Now, let me quickly get up an example of what this actually would look like right here. Let me just quickly get it up. So again, this is what an example knowledge base would actually look like right here. So again, this is what an example knowledge base would look like, right? So Precision Home Solutions, this is a knowledge base. Service offers, this is the detailed, right? So again, this is what we're going to be providing to the agent if the customer asks any questions. So if it asks any questions about what services do you offer, or do you offer thermostat installation for HVAC, right? The AI agent can check in its knowledge base and say, yes, we do offer this type of installation. So for your trades businesses, if you are building this for a client, or you just need to understand how it works, copy and paste the business's website, put it into Perplexity or another LLM, and essentially say, create me a knowledge base on everything. So again, the knowledge base wants to be, the services offered. This is just an example. And then also needs to be, plumbing services. Again, it was just skipping a little page right there. So you can see these are all the gutter services, handymans. These are the pricing and estimates. Again, you can provide whatever information you feel is useful that the customer may ask. Scheduling availability right here. You can see these are all the scheduling availabilities, emergency after hours, appointment duration, booking methods, common questions and answers. Again, this is just generated by ChatGPT to show an example of what a knowledge base will look like. You've got policies here, and you got notes for Jeremy, which is the concierge right here. This is just generated by AI. But you can see this is an example of what actually what a knowledge base would look like. So again, this is our prompt for the AI agent when it's extracting and getting information around the knowledge base. So essentially, if the customer asks about any business information such as opening hours, contact information, you must refer to that knowledge base, which is what I just showed you. If you don't know the answer, acknowledge and reassure and simply say something like this. So again, this is what we call prompt engineering. We're prompt engineering for different types of scenarios and different types of conversation that it may have. So let's say, for example, the customer asks a question that the AI doesn't know. We now know to prompt the agent, right? So it doesn't provide any inaccurate information right here. So if you don't know the answer, just reassure them and say, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that, whatever their name is, but I can note that for the team to follow up with you. So again, that's just prompt engineering, right? Offer alternative or additional help. While I check that, I can schedule you in for an appointment or provide more info about our services. So obviously the main point of this AI agent is not only answer questions, but its main goal is to book appointments, which actually makes the business money, right? So again, its end goal is to do that. So again, it's trying to sell them and it's trying to route them down to that service of booking in an appointment. And then we have ensure you always check your knowledge base before answering any questions and try and keep your responses as accurate and concise as possible. And then from here, we have transfer to management. So you must follow this process if someone wants to speak to a management or staff. So if we come back here, this will cover our final section right here, right? Come back here. So trigger a transfer if the client explicitly asks you to speak with a manager, right? The question is beyond your knowledge or requires an escalation. So again, these are the certain scenarios if a trigger or a transfer must exist, right? If it does exist, we will say use a smooth professional handoff and say something like this. Alex, I think our manager can give you more detailed help on this. I'll connect you right now to take care of it. And then I'll say, please confirm the transfer. Please hold while I transfer you. And then this is very important, run the transfer call function. So again, this is just prompt engineering on how to transfer to management. In a case of a trades business, obviously this would be in a billing dispute, calling up about a quote, calling up about a job, any complaints, complex technical issues. If they explicitly say they want to speak with a manager, it will go ahead and transfer. So again, this is a very important part of our voice agent to always have a backup and transfer, right? And then from here, we have context. So again, we're just giving a little bit of context about the business. This helps the AI agent understand who they're talking to, understand some information about the business, and it just boosts the AI's responses and its natural responses as well. So again, this is an example of what a context may look like. Precision Home Solutions provides a multi-trades home services, including HVAC, electrical plumbing, gutter services, and general handyman work. Your interaction must be smooth, professional, and reassuring, reflecting the company's trusted reputation. And then this right here is very important. This is going to be an example conversation / scenario. So again, essentially, we're providing the AI agent with an example of a conversation that might happen. So right here, we can see, thanks for calling Precision Home Solutions. This is Jeremy. How may I help you today? So again, this is doing two things. One, it's giving good context, and it's giving the AI an example of how a conversation might go. And that really helps it in generating its responses because it can see what an example conversation looks like, right? And number two, it's also very important to actually mention all of the appointment booking processes. So for example, let's say, do you have anything, right? Let me schedule our, let me check our schedule for tomorrow afternoon. And then what you can do is you can add in run, go high level appointment right here. So you can add in the actual functions right here and you can tell the AI agent when to run the functions, right? And then you can do the same thing right here with an example conversation when it books an appointment, right? I'll book that now for you, right? And then we can do run go high level appointment function right there. So again, that is a very good use case, telling the AI agent when to run its tools and also give an example conversation on how it might work as well. Make sure to go ahead and click save, of course. Don't worry about that error. That's just a network error. Yeah, but essentially now we have important notes. This is our last bit of the prompt, and then we'll move on to N8N and go high level, and we'll show you how everything works in there. So again, this is our important note. So always ensure that when you are running any appointment functions, you must use the current time and ensure that they are in the future using the current time right here. So again, this is very important. This note section is essentially providing some final notes to the AI agent to enhance its conversational ability and enhance its output as well. So again, it must ensure that all appointment times are in the future using the current time right here. You must use everyday and conversational language. Keep the responses short, 2 to 3 sentences max. Use the client's name throughout the conversation to make it feel personalized and human-like again. Use light fillers like or like when natural to make it sound more human. And then we also have sound warm, professional, and approachable, and never be robotic. Do not mention any tools. Speak naturally. If asked about the business pricing, answer confidently. If you don't know something, say, I'm not sure about that, but I can note our team to follow up. So again, this is just some final important notes to make sure we correctly prompt engineer the AI agent. So that sums up our prompt. That sums up everything and actually what a good prompt looks like for a trade service businesses. So again, main functionalities is service appointment, right? Answering any knowledge bases, transferring to management, etc. right there. And then from here, this is our welcome message. So our welcome message wants to be AI speaks first, and it wants to be custom message right here. Again, coming down to the welcome message, it's going to be AI speaks first. Now, because this is a inbound agent, we are going to process it and customize it to an inbound message that is said every single time someone calls the phone right here. So we've got custom message, and then this is an example of what a custom message would look like. So for example, this can be, if we come back to here, let's actually get this and paste it in. So again, this is going to be said every single time, right? Thanks for calling Precision Home Solutions. This is, and then we'll change it to Emily because it is a female. Up here, yep, Emily, how may I help you today, right? So again, this is going to be the first message that the AI says every single time. So that essentially sums up our prompt and the welcome message. Now we're going to be moving on to the functions right here. So again, we've got really two important functions. We've got an end call, which gives the ability to end the call, the AI agent to end call, which is very important. We've got transfer call, which is essentially allowing a transfer to another person. Now, this is going to be a warm transfer, right? Essentially, the difference between a warm transfer is the AI will provide a little bit of context and brief about the reason why it's getting transferred, or we have a cold transfer, which will essentially just immediately transfer with no brief, right? So again, this is how you structure it. So make sure with these functions, you have the same name in the functions and then the same name also in the prompt as well. And then right here, we have the description. So again, this is going into the LLM describing the purpose of this tool. So just make sure it's fairly short and precise. It's very simple. So transfer the call to a human agent. And then as the transfer settings, we have transfer to static destination, which is just going to be a number. Obviously, this is not my number. This is a made-up number. But make sure it is in E164 format, which essentially is just the country code it's in. So this is going to be transferring to a static number every single time. In reality, of a trade's business's perspective, this would be probably the owner or the management or a staff or a receptionist, right, for that business. All right, then we have the type. So again, it's going to be a warm transfer, displayed call ID, which is just going to be the user's number. During transfer call, again, we can put them on some hold music. So again, you can really put anything right here and customize it. And then the next important thing is the detection timeout. So again, transfer if only human answers, right? So it can't transfer if it's a voicemail or an IVR system, etc. It needs to be a human. So we can actually use AI to detect if it is a human or not, right? And then right here, we have a detection timeout. So again, this is just the detection timeout of how long it will take to detect something, right? So that's pretty much important. And then there's one more important thing I also want to run through, which is going to be in the call settings right here. And then we have some right here. So again, right here, the max duration before the outbound/transfer call is deemed no answer, right? You want to put this down to 30 seconds is a bit too long. So you want to put this down to give the person that the call is transferring time to answer the call, but also make it short enough so the person is not staying on hold too long. So again, this is a very important setting that I want to note. So maybe put it around 10, 15 seconds. That gives for about 5-6 rings, which should be enough, right? So again, something in the middle around 15 seconds is great, right? Awesome. So that sums up our transfer call. And now all we have to go through is actually configuring the review process and then also sending SMSs as well and booking those appointments. So as I said, we're going to be using Go High Level for this. Now, this is what an automation would look like. Don't worry. I will run you through everything so you can actually see everything that's going on. And then we also are going to run through we're going to run through actually configuring everything and then also going to run through API keys, the review automation, etc. So we've still got a little bit to cover, but, stick with me right here. Okay. Now, let's come back into the functions. Now, what you want to do is you want to create a function. So if you click add right here, and it's going to be custom function. And again, as I said before, it's going to be just one function. And this function is going to be used for checking availability, booking appointments, processing all the booking appointments once. So we just have it in one function to keep it nice and neat right there. So essentially, make sure this name is Go High Level Appointment or whatever you have it in the prompt. And then from here, we can also do a description. So this function will be used to check availability inside a service appointment calendar and book appointments for service appointments. So that's very important, this description right here. And then our API endpoint. So what you actually want to do is you want to go ahead and download the template. I'm going to be providing you this template completely for free. So download the Go High Level Retail Trades template. It's going to be my free resource hub, or alternatively, if you want to build it out. But I recommend downloading it so you can get started as quickly as possible if you want to implement this or build this out yourself. Download the template and you'll be put into a little thing like this. And then from here, what you want to do is you want to get this webhook up the top. So again, make sure it's on test URL, method is post, the path you can leave it, authentication none, and then the respond, it needs to be using respond webhook node. So essentially, Once you get that, you can copy it and then you can come over here and you can paste it in the API endpoint right here, which is going to be our webhook address. So essentially what this custom function is doing is looking at the name, it's looking at the description, and then what it's going to be doing is it's going to be collecting all the information and variables out of the transcript and the conversation. It's going to be formatting it into a JSON, and then it's going to be setting it to this webhook. And then from there, once that webhook receives information, it's going to then trigger the appointment. So that's essentially how it works, just in the back end, so you can understand everything. And then from here, we have parameters. So this is very important. Now, we have two types of parameters here. We've got non-required and we've got required. And I'll explain the difference between both. But before I do that, let's run through all the parameters. So number one, we have service type. So after the AI has collected the service type, it's going to store it in this parameter. We've got the description, which is going to be the type or types of services you are made using the customer. Then we have appointment type. So this is the type of the appointment, right? The value you must send is going to be either check availability, if it is a check availability, or book an appointment if it is a book an appointment. Now, this is very important because this is going to be used in this little section right here, which is essentially what we call a switch node inside N8N, right? And based on that type, it's going to go down either one path, which is going to be check availability. If it is check availability, it's going to go down this path. And then if it's book an appointment, it's going to go down this path, right? So again, this is how we differentiate between 1 and 2, right? The different types of automation. So again, that's very important, which is going to be the appointment type. And then from here, we have appointment date and time, right? This is going to be the requested appointment date and time that the customer has requested, right? And by the way, these need to be required. Essentially, what required means is that it's going to send this information every single time it makes that call to that webhook, and it's always going to be needed to have something in there, right? And the reason why we do this required is because it's going to be one function, right? So the appointment date and time is going to be required for either check availability or book an appointment, and then vice versa as well, right? Okay, so then right here we have the last name. So this is going to be the last name of the customer. Pretty self-explanatory. Phone number. This is also something very, very important. Now, I'm going to be showing you why this is important, but we're going to be using it for checking contacts and checking for a contact inside Go High Level. And how the reason why we do this is because we can use a dynamic variable, right, to already grab the number that they're calling from. So if you're calling on your mobile number and you're calling this agent, right, we can already use that number to check availability or check a customer's CRM, contact ID to book an appointment. So this just makes it a very reliable way for us and essentially allows for no room of error compared to something like an email, right? Because we need a variable to search up any information inside the CRM. So that's why we have the phone number right here. So the phone number is the phone number of the customer, who is user number right here. So this is going to be our dynamic variable. So you'll notice that we don't actually have in the prompt to ask for a number. We just already have it in here that the agent is going to send out, and hence why we need to have it required. Then we have first name. So this is going to be the first name of the customer, and I'll show you why we split these up into first name and last name as well later. And then from here, we have the service address, which is going to be the service address of the customer. And finally, we have the current date and time, which is going to be the current date of time, which is going to be whatever that time zone is. So again, as I said before, this is just sending the current date and time right now as it stands, right? So that's going to be the entire function that we have right here. So again, make sure you have everything in this format. I will copy and paste all of this so you can actually automatically go ahead and put it in this JSON. So it will all be formatted in here, right? But again, this is all the parameters that you must have, and you must have them switched to these ones as required right here. So we can go ahead and update that. Awesome. Okay, so we have covered pretty much everything in Retell. So now you know how to transfer, you know how to check availability, etc. Now we're going to dive into the N8N right here, so you can actually see how it checks availability, books appointments, etc. And then finally, we'll show you that review automation and SMS automation as well. All right, now we're in N8N. Of course, if you did download the template, you will have exactly what is working right here. There's just going to be a few things that you're going to need to sub in, and I'm going to be showing you how to do all of that as well. So let's get started right here. So again, as we said, the trigger of this automation is going to be that webhook right here when it calls that information to the webhook. And then from here, we have a switch node. So essentially, in this switch node right here, we have if that appointment type right here is equal to check availability, then it's going to go down this path, right? But if it is equal to book appointment, right, then it's going to go down this path. So this essentially allows the automation to differentiate if it is a schedule appointment or check availability right here. So let's cover the check availability workflow right here. Execution data 1, this is just allows us to save highlight data in here to make it easier when different errors come up, right, and displaying it for easy reference. And we can also filter by it. So again, that's this execution data. Then from here, we have setting variables. So again, right here, this is where you want to input your calendar ID. Now, this is very, very important. We're going to be using Go High Level, and Go High Level requires a calendar ID to specify the type of calendar, right? And you guys may be asking, like, why don't we use the native Go High Level AI agent instead of actually doing this process in Retell? And there's two reasons why. Is number one, Retell is a far, far, far better platform in terms of voice AI creation. We can customize the speech settings. We can add knowledge base into it. We can customize call settings. We can do far better stuff and create far better voice agents than using the native Go High Level appointment booking thing, right? And the reason why it's very important to understand how to connect to Go High Level is because that it's a very powerful CRM that you can also upsell. It's also a very powerful CRM that a lot of businesses use, and we're going to be utilizing their automation feature. So this is an example automation I'm going to be running you through, and trades confirmation. So we can see when we're booking in appointments, we can create these automations. So when we're combining all these things, it creates a very easy and powerful voice agent. So that's just a little bit of background on why this tech stack is the way it is, right? So you're going to need your calendar ID. Now, how you actually get this is if you come over to here, right, in your calendar section, you're going to have all these calendars. These are just my calendars. But in this example, the service estimate calendar, this is what I'm using right now, right? So this calendar ID is going to be all these IDs right here. So again, create your calendar. It'll be put into the little section right here, and get your calendar ID, come back here and paste it in here. Now, essentially what this node is doing is it's just setting a variable right here. Setting a variable. So now the variable is just going to be calendar ID, and calendar ID is always going to be used as that ID right there. Right. And then we have convert start date time. So this is a very, very important node right here. Essentially, what it's doing is it's converting the current date and time, and it's converting it into Uni MS timestamp. Now, we need Uni MS timestamp because that's the format that requires Go High Level to only check availability for calendars. For some reason, it's very weird in Go High Level because we have Unix MS timestamp for only checking availability, and then ISO 861 format is used for booking appointments. So again, this is why we have this date function right here to convert it into that, which is going to be start date right there. Right? Set availability window. Now, this is very important because this is going to give us the ability to check for more slots inside the calendar. So what we're doing right here is we're taking that last node, which is format start date. We're adding on 7 days to it. And then essentially that will give us the time frame of everything. So now we're able to check availability for not only the time slot that was requested, but upwards of 7 days more. And then that will give the ability for the AI to look for the closest time slot. So that's why we've done it like this, right? And then from here, we have format end date. So essentially this is just formatting the end date, which is going to be the new date. And it's going to be forming it as an end date in Uni MX timestamp format. And then from here, this is where you'll need to configure a few things. So right here, this is going to be a HTTPS module. So we're using Go High Level's API services, and we're going to be making a GET request to get free slots right here. So this is going to be our API request right here. So again, this is going to be using the calendar ID we have, right, for the URL. And then also what you want to do is you want to create a authentication type. So it's going to be generic, and then it's going to be custom auth. Now, to get this auth, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So first of all, head over to your Go High Level account. And what you want to do is you want to find the private integration section right here inside the settings. You want to create a new integration, name it whatever you want, right? I'll just name it N8N test. Click next, and then you want to define all the scopes. Now, only pick the scopes which are relevant for, like, for example, do view business, view calendars, edit calendars, right? Do all the calendars and conversation ones. Don't do any of the messages. Don't do any of the medias, right? Make sure you go through and do all the contacts. But if you'd like, literally just add it in for everything. That's what I did, because then you can use this API for other interactions within Go High Level if you want, such as pipelines, etc. So again, I would recommend just go ahead and add all the scopes as much as possible so you have one API key and you can use it for everything, right? Once you have that, you'll get that API key, and then you want to create a custom auth right here. And then from there, once you have that custom auth, I will give you this format. It'll be inbuilt into the template, but essentially you want to put your API key right here. Now, again, this is my API key. I will be deleting this after this video, so you won't be able to use it, of course. But again, put your API key in right here, and essentially make sure it has bearer pit. Once you download it, you'll have this JSON in. So make sure to replace your API key in there. And that's a very important part. Now, once you've done that, you can use this custom auth against all these other nodes right here that we're going to be using, right? Awesome. right? Now from there, we're just putting in the variable. So again, we're putting in the start date and then we're putting in the end date, and then it's going to check for availability, right? And then from there, we have an if statement. So again, if this availability is true and it contains slots, it's then going to respond saying, great, you have slots. Here are all the slots right here, right? And then if it's not available, we can provide a fallback response webhook to say, hey, unfortunately, there was an error. Please suggest for new availability inside the calendar right here, right? So again, this is just prompt engineering and automation engineering just to check in the use case as if there has been an error. Maybe we can try and provide another time slot so it will return successful. So again, you'll notice that's why we have all these respond to webhook nodes right here with everything, right? All right, sweet. So that covers the check availability, right? So again, that's just checking for slots right here, right? And then let's go down to the schedule appointment workflow. So right here, we have execution data. We're just saving the same thing. You can see we're highlighting everything right here. Allows us very easy from when we're working the automations. Right, then this is a very important little AI module right here. We're just using GPT-1 Mini, and essentially what it's doing is it's going to be getting the time that the user has requested, and it's going to be converting it to ISO 861 format every time. Now, the time may already be in this format, but the reason why we have this is to make sure it's accurate every single time. So if the AI sends over tomorrow at 2 p.m., the calendar and the automation system doesn't actually know that exact time. So we're using AI to get that time right here, as you can see in the prompt. And then we're using a system prompt right here, which essentially your role is to convert the user's time into ISO 861 format with an offset in GMT plus 10. Now, you want to change this for whatever offset you are in. If you are in America Standard Time, I believe it's -4 or -5. So change it to whatever GMT offset you're in. Make sure you change it here. And then make sure you also change it in a few other places. But again, make sure you change it to your offset. So again, this prompt is just converting that date and time for the book appointment into a time that the Go High Level calendar can understand, right? So this is what it's going in the prompt. And then from here, we're using GPT-1 Mini, messenger model, and then make sure we have that little appointment little variable right in here from the webhook, right? So we come down, we can see that that is going to be that appointment date and time, which is the requested date and time. Awesome. And then from here, we're just setting more variables. So we have the location ID. This is very important. This is going to be the location ID of your sub account. Now, I'm going to be showing you how to get that right now. So head over to your calendar or your Go High Level. And what you want to do is, let me just show you real quick. So, hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I just want you to see this URL because this is where you're going to be getting the location ID. So if you come up here, this is going to be the exact location ID you want. So this is my location ID for my Go High Level account, but that's essentially the number you need right there. So again, paste that in, copy that in, and then come back to here and put it inside there, right? It's essentially, we're going to need the location ID to create contacts. That's why we need to do it as well. So again, get that location ID and put it back right there. So let me go ahead and change this. Awesome, right? So that's why you need that location ID. All right. Then the calendar ID is going to be the exact same thing, right? And then from here, we're just simply setting those variables that we have from this webhook. So if we come down in the webhook, this is going to be all the information you have. Again, this is going to be populated when you're actually testing this, but I'm just showing you a walkthrough of the template, right? So we have the start time, which is going to be all these start times right here. So again, that's going to be the start time. It's just setting a variable for the start time. We've got the phone number, setting a variable for the phone number right here, which is going to be using that dynamic variable. We've got the last name, which is going to be the last name. We've got the service address, which is going to be the service address. And then we also have the service type. So again, it's just setting variables. It makes it easier for us to use in the workflow, right? Rather than all these webhooks. Then from here, this is a very important function, which is going to be searching Go High Level contacts, right? So in order to book an appointment, we need a contact, right? And if that contact does not exist, then we can't actually book an appointment. So this is why we have to search for a contact. And how we do this every time very accurately is we do it by searching for a phone number. So this is why getting that phone number from that the customer that it's calling in from is very important, right? So right here, we have the method, which is going to be post. Again, we're using an API request to Go High Level's API. So we have the URL right here, again, which is going to be searching for contacts. The authentication type is going to be that same authentication you set. And then this is going to be the JSON body right here. So again, you have your location ID, which is from the variables we already set. And then you have the field, which is the phone number. And then it's going to be that phone number field from this variables right here. So again, this is going to search within the contact for that phone number. And if it does exist, then it's going to go down and create an appointment because we already have the contact ID. But then if it doesn't exist, we can simply just create another contact and use that contact ID to create another appointment. So that's just an example of automation engineering right there, just to see if it exists or not. Awesome. Okay, so if that contact ID does exist, right, it's going to go down this path, so true. And then if it doesn't exist, it's going to get on this path, right? So I'll run you through this path first, which is going to be create an appointment. So now it's going to be creating an appointment, right, with the URL, which is going to be events/appointments. Authentication type is the exact same thing. And then the body is going to be where we're configuring all of the appointment details right here. So we have the calendar ID, which is the calendar ID variables from our previous module right here. Location ID, which is the location ID. Contact ID, which is the contact ID we just searched for back here in this little node, right? Then we have start time, which is going to be the start time. And then we have the title. So this is going to be the title that is going to be displayed on the calendar. Now, this can be make it very easy for trades businesses because we can see appointment for Ashton Voss, right? First name, last name. And then it's going to be at service address. So appointment for Ashton Voss at 123 Main Drive, right? So that's an example of what it's going to be displayed. And then they can click in, they can see the time, etc. So again, that's going to be the title value right there, right? And then from here, once it has created the appointment, same thing, right? We just have a quick little automation fallback process. If it is available, it'll let them know, great, your appointment time at the start date has been available right here. And then if it's for whatever an error, it'll just simply say this error message right here. So again, that's the exact same for literally all of these processes. So keep that in mind right here, right? And then finally, we're almost done with this automation. If that contact does not exist, right, we need to create a new contact and get that contact ID, right? So essentially, we do the same thing. So we're just creating a contact, right? So again, creating a contact, the authentication type is going to be the exact same. And then we're going to be sending a body, and we're just going to be mapping in all of these variables within the webhook right here. So this is their first name, this is their last name, this is the location ID for the contact, this is their email, this is their phone, etc., right? So once it's done that, it'll create the contact, right? And then from there, it'll create the appointment, which is going to be the exact same node right here, literally the exact same. But we're just going to be using the contact ID created from this node right here, right? And then from there, obviously, this is just an error. If the contact is an error for some reason, it's just going to say it's an error. Again, another good example of automation engineering and a fallback process. And then from here, we have a check statement. Again, the exact same thing up here. So that's the entire automation. This is a very robust automation for Go High level as well. Checking availability, providing more slots, booking appointments, creating contacts automatically, right? And now we're going to be going into the final next section, which is sending SMS sending SMS confirmations, and then also processing reviews as well. Okay, awesome. So now that appointment has been booked, or check availability has been done, we can then use Go High Level's native automation feature to actually go ahead and process automations to send SMSs, to use logic, to use drip campaigns, to really do anything. So we're going to be using two main use cases, which is very, very important in these trades businesses, is to one, use SMSs to confirm and remind for appointments, and then two, also request service request reviews as well. This will actually automatically go ahead and request for Google reviews, which will bump their visibility up on Google in the Google review section, which we know is very important for these businesses. So essentially, right, we can have a trigger in the automation section in Go High Level to be whenever someone books an appointment in the calendar. So because our automation automatically books an appointment, this will automatically fire right here. So again, it will automatically book an appointment in the calendar. And then from there, it'll send a confirmation SMS, right? And these are called dynamic variables or custom fields, Go High Level call them. But essentially, from that contact it is created inside that the end-to-end workflow, it's going to be using these variables right here. And it's going to be saying, hey, Ashton Voss, this is a confirmation reminder that your appointment at appointment start time with Precision, that's to say P. I cut it out because I was pasting it in from a template. Precision Home Solutions. This is a confirmation reminder that your appointment at 10 a.m. or 10 a.m. tomorrow, right? With Precision Home Solutions. This is a confirmation reminder that your appointment is at. Okay, yeah. Also, I'm just making sure that makes sense. So then we look forward to seeing you there, right? And then we can also add an internal notification to the plumber, right? So whoever is the assigned plumber, we can add an internal notification. So for example, this is internal notification to this number. Hi, this is a internal notification letting you know you have a new service request appointment below. Here are the details: name, time, and then you can put whatever things you want based on the appointment, right? So again, that's sending an internal notification to the plumber, letting them know that they have an appointment. This can be very useful just to remind them, right? Then from here, we have a wait step. So this is going to be waiting 1 day before the appointment, and then it's going to be sending out an SMS reminder reminding the contact of their appointment. So, for example, hello, Ashton Voss. This is a reminder that your service appointment is in 24 hours at, 5 p.m. Tuesday, whatever. We look forward to seeing you. So, again, just reminding and confirming the appointments. Then from here, we have a final wait step, which is going to be waiting 1 hour. Again, reminding their appointment that is in 1 hour. So, again, it's very simple. And you can also experiment even further. You can do an if else statement. You can do if contact hasn't replied. You can do a bunch of different things. So again, I'm just proving the flexibility of why we're using Go High Level right here from there. So again, that's going to cover the trades and confirmation reminders right there, right? And then finally, we have one of the last automations, which is going to be this review automation. Now, I know it looks a little bit complex, but it's really not. It's quite repetitive. And essentially, all this automation is doing, if we come in here, again, you'll get the template for this, right? All this automation is doing is as soon as someone has booked an appointment, right? It's going to be waiting after the appointment. So it's going to be waiting 1 hour after the appointment has happened, and then it's going to be triggering this workflow. So the first message after that appointment is going to be this message right here, which is essentially an SMS saying, "Hi, Ashton Voss. Thank you for allowing Precision Home Solutions to service your home. If you were to rate your experience 1 to 5, being the highest, what would you say your experience is?" And then from there, it's going to add a contact tag. And then this is a very important step. So wait for reply for 30 hours, right? If they reply, it's going to go down this path. So if the message is 1, it's going to say, okay, are you willing to share? How do we miss the mark, right? And then we're going to be waiting for a reply on that, right? And this process is going to be happening if it's below 4, because we only want review requests to send out if it's above 4 and above, right? So again, all these are the exact same. So again, if it's below 4 and above, it's going to go down this process. So it's going to say, how do we do, why is it a 1 or 3, right? Then it's going to send an internal notification to the person saying why it's bad, right? Notifying their management. This is what they said, right? And then it's going to note it inside the contact record, wait 30 seconds, and then pass it along to management right here. So again, that's going to be happening for reviews under 4 minutes. All right. And then if they reply, obviously within 30 hours, it's going to say this, right? All right. And this is the same for 4 and 5, by the way, right? Let me click in here. And then we'll say, are you willing to share your experience on our Google review page? And then you can just simply provide a Google review link, right? Then right here, we've got a little bit more logic. So waiting up to 15 minutes right here up the top. So again, this just checks if they clicked the link or not. If they have clicked the link right here, it'll say, thank you for clicking it, right? And this will check after 15 minutes. And then it'll pass that message on to the business. Of course, you can customize this, you can delete it, whatever, right? And then from there, if they haven't clicked it, it'll say, are you willing to share your experience again? So again, it will just ask again, right? Making sure I'm pushing for those reviews because those are really important for the business and its reputation, right? Again, wait up to 15 minutes, right? If the link clicked is Google, it'll say thank you. And then if it's not, it'll say thank you. And then you can keep checking, right? So again, this is just, you can see how it's repetitive, right? And then that's the same thing for 5, exact same thing as we just outlined right there. And then finally, we have the next little branch right here, which is essentially if the customer hasn't replied, it'll just reach out again. So we'll say, hey, are you willing to share us a Google review on this page? Or what is your rating out of 1 to 5, right? It'll essentially keep doing it, right? It'll do it one day, it'll do it at Monday, and then it'll do it by email as well. So essentially it's going to keep trying right there.